Welcome, Hitchhiking Ghost, to Geek Salad's Retro Movie Reviews from the Geek Salad Podcast. I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike.
And today we are here to celebrate more original Disney Plus goodness with the six-part docu-series, The Imagineering story.
Indeed.
When I first heard about this, I was so excited.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wearing mine right now. I don't know about you. There we go. Both on 2019 as well. Both Mike and I are huge Disney Parks fans.
Mm-hmm.
And another cool thing, very nice.
Yeah.
Another cool thing that I don't know a lot of people know about me, at least, is that I love to see how the sausage is made. So being able to see these amazing things on how they developed things within the park. First with the original Disneyland concept, and then moving into Disney World with and then now, I mean, I've only watched the first two episodes, and that's really what we're going to cover tonight. Mike, you just finished episode 3?
Yeah, I just watched episode 3 maybe 20 minutes ago.
Okay. So we're not going to cover episode 3. We're just going to do the first 2 episodes and primarily give our impressions about it. Because this is history, there really is no spoiler warning. This isn't like The Mandalorian, which is a fictional story, so we can kind of go into some detail, I think, without really spoiling anything. Mike, your first impressions.
My first impressions are this has got more footage, more interviews, more behind-the-scenes looks than I think I've ever seen in any behind-the-scenes documentaries about Disney before. They really gave Leslie
it's interesting.
Full.
Oh, yeah. Right. Well, Leslie Iwerks is family in terms of the Disney family. She's the granddaughter of Ub Iwerks, who co-created Oswald the Lucky Rabbit and Mickey Mouse, and was a big influence on the early days of the animation studio.
Yes, that's right, kids. Mickey Mouse had a co-creator. It wasn't just Walt
exactly.
Disney.
Mickey Mouse had 2 dads. You can put that on my gravestone now. Mickey Mouse here lies Andy. Mickey Mouse had 2 dads. So we, my initial impressions about kind of just the candor of this is that it is, as everything that's produced by the Walt Disney Company, is going to be very, very complimentary to the Disney legacy. However, I do love that there are times, especially after the Walt stuff, issues about the management, how things were done. In episode 2, they're talking about just kind of like nonsensical layoffs with Imagineering.
Yeah.
That were just like, and they were doing them at like really rotten times. You know, they were doing them like 2 weeks before Christmas. You're out of a job.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And these jobs are not easy to come by but thank you. These jobs aren't easy to come by because, I mean, it's not just you need an engineering degree. You need art degrees. You need a creative background in order to do what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm finding it really interesting, especially when you look at the stuff from Disneyland, how many people came in from the animation studio.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, they were working side by side with like the 9 old men, you know, Disney's core group of animators.
Yeah. I found that very interesting. I found that a lot of and I'm going to flub names, so Mike, remind me of names. There was the woman who designed a lot of the concept art for Sleeping Beauty. She had a big influence on a lot of the design of, I believe It's a Small World.
Was it Mary Coates?
I think it might have been Mary Coates. I apologize. I'm terrible.
Yeah.
I'm terrible with names. But yeah, I mean,
I need to rewatch these, but
yeah. But I do love how the concept went through, and it was a lot of just, they were free to experiment with things. And as the as the park matures and they're bringing in new rides, I did find it very interesting, especially with the Haunted Mansion, because the Haunted Mansion was essentially on the drawing boards since day one.
Oh yeah.
Concepts that they had for the concepts of the Haunted Mansion are insane, because it didn't end up being anything like they originally intended it to be.
Oh yeah. There's a YouTube channel that I mentioned in the next episode of Geek Salad called Yesterworld, where they actually have a couple of videos about that. But I also at D23 this year, my girlfriend and I went to a panel where they kind of go through the initial storyboard, initial writing version of the Haunted Mansion, and it is amazing, and it is shocking how far that was from the original, from what we know to be there now.
Yes,
there are elements there, but almost nothing else is like that.
Right. I'm really enjoying that. What I find amazing too is because I've always said that the real magic has been in the Haunted Mansion with the haunted ballroom, and just how a lot of that is just essentially it's just upward projection, which was really
yeah, I mean, that's a magic trick that's been in use since like the 1800s.
Yeah,
and they just decided to do it on a large scale.
Yeah. And it works. It works. I mean, that ride today still holds up because of that.
Absolutely.
So that the concept of Space Mountain, the fact that they were just being raked over the coals for not having a thrill ride. And I mean, I am freaking obsessed with Space Mountain. If my phone case here doesn't give you any indication, I am freaking obsessed with that.
Yeah, I'll go on Space Mountain when my girlfriend drags me on Space Mountain. It's not bad. It's just not my 100% cup of tea.
There's just one of those things, and I love the way that they describe it, with how there's an anticipation there, and you're going to be scared, and it's just that's what I love about roller coasters in general, is just that oh, and then you're free to scream, and you're still restrained, and especially with something like Space Mountain, I still keep my head down, because I know, being 6'2", my head's still going to clear it, but I still have like that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Ride. I got to take a moment also. I want to talk about the credit sequence. I love how they do these credits, because they're very reminiscent to me of the HBO series Westworld's opening credits. Just like lot of
very good point, actually.
Yeah, very white, just creating the image there. And that's like when I was watching it, and while the music itself felt very documentary, like that was like, oh my God, that's Westworld. Which is,
I also like the fact,
even think about it.
I also like the fact that each credit sequence is specialized to that specific episode. Like, first one they're building the castle. The second one they're building the Epcot Dome. The third one, like, you haven't seen it yet, but they're building the Euro Disneyland castle.
Oh, okay. That Euro Disney one looks interesting.
From the looks of it, from the fourth one, the fourth episode, they're building the Tree of Life from Animal Kingdom.
Ah, cool. I saw some concept art which came up in my Google search for the Imagineering story when I was putting together the title card for this installment, and they actually had Disneyland Paris's Space Mountain, which is it was a take more on the old 1900 trip to the moon. Like that. Yeah. Do they actually go into that?
Yes, yeah, they go into that. Actually, they do a pretty good coverage of that. But actually, what you were saying earlier about one of your criticism is that it is a little bit more. They more lean towards the brighter side, not so much as the lesser side.
Right.
I mean, they. I'm just kind of spoiler for episode 3 for you. They definitely show like this is how they made Disney Disneyland. This is how the whole ride. Not but they do it eventually acknowledge that it underperformed something fierce. Um, but it was definitely if you look like on Yesterworld or another YouTube channel, Defunctland, you can find plenty of videos about this is what they initially intended. This is what happened when the money kind of faltered a little bit, and this is what they ended up with.
Right. Which is fine. I love. I mean, both those channels you mentioned, I love. I watch them. They are great channels. I am really digging the full hour setup though of this docu-series. I really love. I mean, first of all, I always love watching the time lapse of them building Spaceship Earth.
Oh yeah,
because when I was younger, Epcot was the boring park, and when I went to Epcot for spring break, it was still kind of like the dull park. I wasn't old enough to drink yet, so I didn't know how. I didn't know the majesty that was Epcot until much later in my adult life.
I was the same way when I was 10. Was the first time I went. I don't think it was the first time I went to the parks, but in Florida, but it was the first time we went to Epcot because it had only been open for like a few years.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was like, I wanted to go on one ride, and we sort of went on it. And after that, I was like, okay, this is kind of a boring park. And then I went back when like 2010, 2011, and I was like,
Yeah.
this park is really awesome.
And every time I go, I get so many close-up pictures of just the detail of Spaceship Earth, because it's just there's something about that, just that design. It just calls to me, and it's amazing because again, this was kind of like the boring park. Everyone went to Magic Kingdom, and now it's like we do 2 days in Epcot.
Oh yeah,
our last trip, it was 2 days in Magic Kingdom, 2 days at Epcot, and 1 day at the other two, Hollywood and Animal Kingdom.
For me, I always get a park hopper pass because I'll spend like most of the day at one park, but then I usually sometime throughout the day I'll find myself back in Epcot just doing a couple rides.
Yeah, and that might be like we did park hoppers in our most recent trips. The last 2 times we didn't do it this time because we had a very specific plan in place, and I wasn't about to drop that kind of money on park hopping that we may or may not have used. I'll be honest with you, if I do a park hopper again, it will be if we do like an adults group,
Yeah,
like a friend trip or something like that. That's when I would do the park hopper. Because we're all grown up, so we can do whatever the hell we want. We can eat whatever the hell we want. But I'm
that's
really
why I love going to the Disney World and Disneyland on my own or with my girlfriend.
Yeah. I just love watching, like, especially because, well, first of all, with some of the Disneyland stuff, I do love some of the promotional movies that they were doing for original Disneyland. And they had the Haunted Mansion there, and they had like very young Kurt Russell.
Oh yeah,
in the Disney family at the time, doing stuff like the computer wore tennis shoes. And it's just so much fun was watching these really these beautifully cheesy commercials, if you will. I also really am also digging to the development of Epcot, where I mean everybody is got like their shag 80 hair, 70s, 80s hair and mustaches and sideburns. And
oh, wait till you get to episode 3. It is 80s-tastic.
Fantastic. I can't wait. I mean, I'll be honest with you. This is the kind of series I don't really know. It's because there's no plot. It's kind of a long show on this. But this is definitely, I would highly call this. This is very much required viewing for the Disney Plus platform.
Oh,
this
yes.
is going to open up a lot of different things because I think, is it December 3rd that we're going to get a day in the life in Disney? I think it's
sounds about
3rd.
right.
We're gonna get that docu-series. It's like one documentary of one day in an employee's life at Disney, and then 52 shorter films released weekly. The same kind of thing. So they really love. And they mentioned this in the docu-series itself that they're the magician that tells you their tricks, and I really admire that about how that's happening. It's not like, oh, it's trade secret. We got to kill you if we tell you.
Mm.
The utilidors. The utilidors should be a secret, but they're not.
Well,
and I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I've actually been in the utilidors. There,
you have.
Yeah, there are a couple of tours that you can take that will actually take you down. I mean, they don't go like very deep into it, but you go through one hallway and come up another section. So you're in another part of the park.
Neat.
It's really very cool.
I like that. So yeah, that's pretty much all. I mean, this is, like I said, this is required viewing. If you're doing Disney Plus, you got to watch The Mandalorian. You're going to catch up on all your 80s and 90s TV shows. But this one here is a gem, and it's something that, I know that like you, me, Jonna, Julie, a number of the people in my cast now we've all watched this because we love the parks, and I just love that they're pulling back the curtain for us and giving us. I mean, and a lot of this stuff is public knowledge. A lot of this I already knew, but I'm enjoying the presentation. I'm enjoying the ride with this.
There are interviews with people that, I mean, some of them have been dead for. I mean, Marty Sklar died like 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah, exactly. I also love, there was that very touching moment when they're talking about the Haunted Mansion and how they picked one of the animators to do the face and the acting for Madame Leota. So I didn't realize that, first of all, that was her real name. That was the woman's real name.
Oh yeah, Leota Toombs.
Yeah, Leota Toombs. And then her daughter now works in the park. And she said, my mother died when I was very young, but it's very nice that every day I can hear her voice saying, hurry back.
Yeah, because that's the voice of Leota, Madame Leota in the ball is not her actual voice. That's the voice of Maleficent. But the
right.
The ghost that you hear at the very end, and hurry back. That's actually Leota Toombs' actual voice.
Yeah. And it was really kind of touching and sweet, and that's how they got the name Madame Leota too.
Yeah,
which is really cool.
I also got a nice little emotional kick when Bob Gurr, when he was brought into the Matterhorn, and he saw all the cast members that have signed their names throughout the years, and they're like, "Would you like to sign your name?" He's like, "Well, I guess as one of the people that made this, I guess I should." And I was like, that's really kind of a special moment.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Is like I miss the Matterhorn. It's like the one ride at Disneyland I really miss, because I haven't been to Disneyland in over 30 years.
Yeah, that's another one that I only go on if Jonna drags me on, and fortunately she doesn't too often because the line is typically about an hour and a half long.
That's crazy to me, because again, it's a it's an opening day attraction.
Not quite opening day, but close to it.
Close to it, and not close enough.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I mean, that's really all I have to say. I just, I really advise you, please put this on your watch list. In between your episodes of Lizzie McGuire and Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, because this is really good stuff. This really is good stuff. and they're going to take the time to make it. You might as well take the time to watch it.
Yeah. What
So.
what I would love to see though is a companion piece kind of made to this, is a docu-series about following the, like, Walt Disney Film Studios or Walt Disney Animation, kind of like Waking Sleeping Beauty, which is another excellent documentary which we may review later.
Yeah, at some point, maybe during Disney month.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and it's interesting because I did get in a conversation on Twitter about that, like that kind of thing, like having almost like the AMC Classics thing where they would have somebody introduce it, and I'm one of many who really thinks that Leonard Maltin was born to do something like that. And quite honestly, I think that if they were to do something like inside the Disney Animation Studios and do something where maybe what you do is you cover several movies like in a spell. So maybe you do one specifically on Sleeping Beauty, on Fantasia, and then maybe you take that, you do the wartime all at once. Like you do Dumbo as your centerpiece, but then include the compilation movies in one thing and then move on, where certain movies might warrant their own hour. Other movies might get combined with another movie or two or three for that hour, especially when you get to the quote unquote lesser Disney. But you cover the vault, you cover the entire official run of Disney movies.
Except for Song of the South.
Well, of course. But that's not actually technically an animated movie. It's not considered part of the animated thing anyway.
But
because it's more live action than it is animation.
Yeah. What you were saying about Leonard Maltin though is, I've got a few of these, these nice little Walt Disney treasures.
Yeah, so do I.
And on almost every single one of them, they've got, exclusive introductions by film historian Leonard Maltin right there. And he actually gives a lot of really good information about that. And seeing, maybe a weekly series of him doing that about every single movie would be fantastic.
Right. And he's got that great, very relaxed voice to just talk you through it. For the standard narration stuff. You take archive interviews with the animators and with Walt, and we show storyboards, and you do all that. And again, a lot of the stuff for the Disney faithful isn't stuff we don't already know. Right. But the presentation is key. And I know all the stuff they went through with Snow White, but I would definitely watch a documentary about that, like a newer documentary on this format, and make it weekly. I love this weekly format thing. It drives me nuts sometimes, but honestly, I get to watch these and pay more attention to them. Yeah. Because when I binge, I glaze.
Yeah.
I think I said that last week too. But that's my 2 cents on the Imagineering story. How about you, Mike? You anything else?
No, for anyone that has ever had any interest in the Disney parks, like how it's made, how it's done, the engineering feats, this is must viewing. There's no way around it.
Absolutely. So that's essentially going to be our Disney Plus chatter for November. It's only the 2 shows right now. I think we're going to cover this some more when we do our Disney month in April. And also next week, I will not be here to do a review. So Mike, tell our audience what they get.
I'm still trying to work it out.
Okay. The idea right now is to review the original Frozen.
Yes.
So let me just put it out here. If we don't have a movie review next week, just blame the holidays for it. As it is right now, I think our part 2 of our podcast, which usually gets released a week after part 1, will probably have a slight delay as well. There is no time. There is no time this week, and I appreciate your patience. Yeah. But yes, please watch this series. All I'm saying is I'm going to leave it at that. So back to you.
The more we watch it, the more likely we'll get, shows about the movie studios, movie about the film studios, about everything, you know.
Yeah. I really implore you to watch this. And if you have already watched this and you have some thoughts on it, please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Keep it civil, obviously. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. Also, Mike and I host a little podcast called Geek Salad, where we cover all the nerdy things. You can check us out at geeksalad.podbean.com. You can check us out on the Podbean app. You can check us out at Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, and Google Music. You can also get the full audio here at YouTube, as well as these exclusive videos that we put out every week.
When he's not
Together,
busy.
Patreon. Yes?
When you're not busy.
When I'm not busy, exactly. So, yeah. So that was the Imagineering story. Mike, anything else before we take? Oh, social media. Yes. We are on Facebook at Geek Salad Podcast and on Twitter at Geek Salad Radio. So please give us a follow on each of the platforms. Please weigh in, get in on the conversation. We love having you. And I think that's it. So until next time, I'm Andy.
Yep. I'm Mike.
Go forth, Amby Nerdful. Talk to you later. Have a magical
May the magic
day.
protect you.